Tonight, you're going to close your eyes and leave. Not your body. Your body stays right there, warm under the blanket, breathing slow. But something else goes somewhere. You'll see faces of people you haven't thought about in years. You'll be in places that don't exist. You'll feel fear so real your heart actually speeds up, and then you'll wake up and it'll all be gone like it was never there. You've done this thousands of times. You barely think about it anymore. Now imagine doing that for the very first time. No science, no explanation, no one who's ever told you what sleep even is. You close your eyes, you disappear, and something else takes over. You watch yourself get chased. You see dead people walking around, talking to you, warning you. You wake up sweating, heart slamming, and you have absolutely no framework for what just happened to your mind. That wasn't a dream. That was a visitation, a message, a threat, and your entire tribe agreed. This is the story of how ancient humans interpreted the one thing that happened to every single one of them every single night, and how that terror shaped religion, sacrifice, war, and the entire way humans built meaning out of being alive. Because the dream world didn't feel like a side effect of sleep to them. It felt like the most real place there was, and the lengths they went to control it, survive it, and talk to it will make you never look at falling asleep the same way again. Let's start with what they were actually experiencing, because it matters. Modern science tells us dreams are the brain processing memory, emotion, threat simulations. The sleeping mind running maintenance, completely internal, completely generated by you. Ancient humans had none of that. What they had was this. Every night, without choosing to, their consciousness left and went somewhere else. They met the dead. They flew. They stood in places they'd never been. And when they came back, the body had never moved. Not 1 inch. Think about how terrifying that conclusion is when you have no other option. If the body stayed here, but you went somewhere, then there are two of you. There's the body, and there's something that can leave it. Something that travels while you sleep. Something that can be grabbed, lost, or never come back. Almost every ancient culture on Earth landed on the same word for it. Soul. Not because they talked to each other. They were on opposite sides of the planet, but they all watched themselves dream and came to the same conclusion independently. The dream wasn't happening inside your head. You were actually going somewhere, and where you went was real. That single belief changed everything. The oldest evidence we have for dream belief goes back at least 5,000 years to ancient Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq. The Sumerians didn't just dream. They had an entire system built around it. Dreams came from gods or demons. Full stop. Your sleeping mind was a message board, and something from the other side was writing on it. Good dreams meant a god was pleased. Nightmares meant a demon had found you in the dark and was doing something to you while you slept. This wasn't a metaphor. They meant it literally. They had professional dream interpreters, trained specialists whose whole job was to decode what the other world was trying to say. There were written lists, actual clay tablets that cataloged thousands of dream images and what each one meant. If you dreamed of a particular bird, here's what's coming. If you dreamed your teeth fell out, here's what to do about it. They also had dream prayers. Before sleep, you would perform rituals asking the gods to send you a useful dream and keep the demons away. Some tablets show people writing letters to dead relatives, asking them to send messages through dreams, because that was simply the accepted method of cross-world communication. The dead could reach you while you slept. That was just understood. But here's where it gets stranger. The Egyptians took all of this further and built entire temples around it. They called the practice incubation, and it had nothing to do with eggs. Sick people, desperate people, people who needed answers from the gods, would travel to a sacred temple, perform purification rituals, sometimes for days, and then sleep inside the temple itself. The idea was that sleeping in a holy place increased the chance of receiving a divine dream. A god might appear and tell you how to cure your illness. A dead pharaoh might visit and give you guidance. The dream wasn't something that happened to you. It was something you could engineer if you did it right. The most famous of these temples was dedicated to a god named Serapis. People would fast, bathe, wear special clothing, burn specific incense, and lie down in total darkness inside the sanctuary. Priests would stand by in the morning to help interpret whatever arrived in the night. This was ancient medicine. Dream it, decode it, act on it. And it worked, or at least felt like it worked, which is its own fascinating story about the power of expectation and belief. Because what you expect to see in a dream, you often do see. The brain is already telling stories. Point it in a direction, and it will go there. The Egyptians understood something real just through the wrong explanation. The Greeks inherited this and made it worse. or better depending on how you think about it. In ancient Greece, dreams were sent by the god Hypnos, the god of sleep himself, and his twin brother Thanatos, the god of death. Those two being twins was not an accident. Sleep and death lived in the same house. That was the message. Every night you slept, you visited the border of the underworld. The dead were right there, which is why the dead kept showing up. Homer wrote about it in the Iliad. Zeus sending a false dream to a king to trick him into a disastrous battle. The dream looked exactly like a trusted advisor. It spoke perfectly. It felt completely real, and it was a lie designed to destroy him. The Greeks had a name for this specific terror. They called false dreams the ones that came through the gate of ivory. Real prophetic dreams came through the gate of horn. You had no way of knowing which gate your dream used. Every night was a gamble. What entered your sleeping mind might be divine truth or a divine trap. This kept very smart people genuinely afraid of going to sleep. Aristotle himself wrestled with it. He was the most rational thinker of his age, and he still spent serious time writing about whether dreams were divine messages or something the body produced on its own. He landed somewhere close to the truth, that dreams came from inside, but he never fully let go of the possibility that sometimes something external got in. Even the best mind of the ancient world couldn't entirely close the door. Now go much further back. Before temples, before writing, before cities. Go back to the painted caves. There's a theory that some of the oldest art humans ever made, the handprints, the animals, the abstract shapes painted deep inside caves 30,000 to 40,000 years ago, wasn't meant for waking eyes at all. Caves go dark fast. Deep in a cave, there's zero light, zero sound. Sensory deprivation that powerful reliably produces hallucinations in modern humans within hours. Your brain, starved of input, starts generating its own, and what it generates looks remarkably like the animals and shapes painted on those cave walls. Some researchers believe those paintings were attempts to capture what was seen in those states. Not the waking world, the other world, the dream world, reached through darkness and time and maybe certain plants that could open a door. Shamans and cultures across every continent used altered states, sleep deprivation, fasting, specific plants, to deliberately enter dreamlike states and bring information back. The role was deadly serious. You were the person who could travel to where the dead were and come back with answers. That required a specific kind of person and a specific kind of courage that most people didn't have, because not everyone came back the same. Some shamans described encounters with entities in that dark space that wanted to take them apart. Beings that lived in the dream world permanently. Beings that weren't dead humans but something older. Something that had never been human at all. Something that lived in the space between sleep and waking and did not particularly welcome visitors. The fear wasn't just of nightmares, it was of what was actually living in the dark behind your eyes. And the job of the shaman was to face that, negotiate with it, and survive. Here's something almost nobody talks about. Ancient humans didn't just fear what they saw in dreams, they feared what dreams could do to the waking world. In many early cultures, harming someone in a dream was considered actual harm. If you dreamed you attacked a person, you owed them something in waking life. Because your soul had actually gone there, your soul had actually done that. The dream wasn't symbolic, it was a scene from a place that was real. This created one of the oldest legal problems humans ever had to solve. What do you do when the crime happened somewhere no one else can see? Some societies developed dream confessions. You reported what your dreaming self had done because your waking self was still responsible. The soul didn't get a pass just because the body was unconscious. There were also dream curses, specialists who claimed they could enter someone else's dream and harm them there. Dream warfare, sending a demon through sleep to terrorize an enemy before battle. Hiring a dream walker to invade the night of a rival king. This sounds like pure superstition until you realize what sleep deprivation actually does to a person. A few nights of genuine nightmares, of waking in terror, of losing the boundary between dream and waking, and a person becomes paranoid, exhausted, and mentally fragile. Whether or not anyone sent it, the damage was real. The weapon worked, the mechanism was just wrong. The dream that changed the most history might belong to Constantine. The night before a battle that would decide the future of Rome, Constantine reportedly had a vision. A symbol in the sky, a voice saying that in this sign he would conquer. He painted that symbol on his soldiers' shields. He won the battle. He became the sole ruler of Rome. And then he made Christianity the dominant religion of the most powerful empire on earth. One dream, or one claimed dream. The entire trajectory of Western civilization bends at that moment. Whether Constantine actually dreamed it, fabricated it, or genuinely saw something in a half-sleep state before battle, we'll never know. But the fact that a dream was the acceptable, believable, unquestionable reason to reshape an empire tells you everything about how seriously the ancient world took what happened behind closed eyes. No one asked for proof. Dreams were proof. What's strange is that we lost this. Somewhere between the ancient world and now, dreams went from being the most important information a person could receive to being the thing you maybe mention over breakfast and then forget by noon. From divine messages to random noise. From visitations to just your brain doing its filing. And here's the uncomfortable question that sits underneath all of this. They were wrong about the mechanism. Completely wrong. Dreams don't come from gods. The dead aren't actually visiting. There's no soul traveling to another world. But were they wrong about the significance? Because the brain does process real fears in dreams. Real trauma surfaces there. Real problems get worked on in the dark. The sleeping mind is doing something, even if it isn't traveling anywhere. And cultures that paid close attention to dreams, that treated them as information worth examining, may have been doing something genuinely useful, just with the wrong story wrapped around it. The story was false. The instinct might not have been. Tonight, you'll close your eyes and go somewhere again. And somewhere in a very old part of your brain, the part that was shaped by hundreds of thousands of years of people who genuinely did not know what was happening to them every single night, something still isn't entirely sure it's safe. That feeling you get after a nightmare when the room feels wrong and you don't quite trust the dark yet? That's not weakness. That's 300,000 years of people who survived by taking the dark seriously. They built temples around it. They hired priests to decode it. They fought wars over it. They painted it on cave walls in the deepest dark they could find. And then they went to sleep and did it all over again the next night. Because they had to. Because morning was never guaranteed. Because the dream world felt more permanent than the waking one. And sometimes, lying there in the cold and the dark with everything that could kill you just outside the shelter wall, maybe it was.